Welcome to Darren's Book Nook. I'm Darren.
I'm Sarah.
Today we're going to be talking about breakups. But not in the way you might think. We're going to be looking at breakups as a catalyst for growth, using John Kim's book, Breakup on Purpose, as our guide.
Interesting.
Yeah. Have you ever gone through a breakup where in the moment you're like, this is the worst thing ever, but then maybe later you realize that it actually had an upside?
Yeah, for sure.
So that's kind of the perspective we're going for today. So John Kim, he talks about all sorts of breakups in this book. He's got like, your classic big one, first love, heartbreak. He's got what he calls the flat soda breakup, which is kind of like we should have broken up years ago.
All right.
He talks about the, you cheated on me, left me for someone else, breakup, the soap opera breakup, like I need to get a restraining order.
Oh, wow.
The almost relationship breakup, the breakup that never ends, and of course, divorce.
It all.
Yeah. So it's really interesting to see all these different kinds of breakups that he talks about.
So John Kim's central idea is that breakups, while they're painful, they're actually opportunities for growth and self-discovery.
Okay.
And he actually compares it to a car accident.
Whoa.
Yeah, so like a car accident, it's like shocking. It leaves you feeling completely wrecked. But then what happens? You recover, you rebuild, and oftentimes you come out on the other side with a new understanding of yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
If you have to kind of pick up the pieces and put your life back together.
Exactly. And he even talks about, crying orange tears from eating Cheetos after a breakup, which I think we can all relate to.
Oh yeah, I've been there for sure.
Yeah.
Comfort food is a must.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But Kim goes beyond just, surface level coping mechanisms. He really emphasizes the importance of understanding what he calls what really happened, like what was really going on beneath the surface of the breakup.
Okay, so it's not just about the immediate reason for the split. It's about digging deeper.
Exactly. And to illustrate this, he talks about this couple, Jess and Brian. They had this whirlwind romance that started on a spring break trip, all passion and excitement.
Oh, spring break romances. I know them well.
Right. But then Jess starts changing herself to please Brian. She ignores all these red flags. She ditches her own interest to be with him more.
Oh no, classic people pleasing.
Exactly. And you can guess what happens. Brian dumps her, leaving Jess heartbroken.
Oof.
But then Kim reveals what really happened. Jess had unknowingly tied her self-worth to the relationship. She was seeking validation through Brian instead of trusting her own instincts.
That's so common though. Like we've all probably been there at some point where we look to our partner for validation.
Absolutely. So it's not just about the breakup itself, it's about those deeper patterns and beliefs that we bring into our relationships.
Right. It's about understanding why we make the choices we do in love.
Now, have you ever found yourself in that situation, ignoring red flags, or maybe even changing yourself to hold on to someone?
Oh yeah, definitely been there. It's like sometimes we're so afraid of being alone that we'll do anything to avoid it.
It's a common fear. But it leads us to another interesting category Kim explores, which is the big one. And this isn't always about young love.
Oh, interesting.
It can happen at any age. And it's that defining heartbreak that often involves a partner who was actually good for us.
Okay. So it's not necessarily a bad relationship. It's just a really significant one.
Exactly. And he uses this example of Spencer and Love. They were a healthy couple, they communicated well, but then Love's startup takes off and she breaks up with Spencer, choosing her newfound success over a stable relationship.
Wow, that's got to be tough. You're in a good relationship and then suddenly it's over.
It's brutal. And Spencer is completely blindsided by it. Kim points out that even in healthy relationships, a lack of communication about internal shifts can lead to these really jarring breakups.
So even if things seem good on the surface, there might be things bubbling underneath that aren't being addressed.
Exactly. And this ties into Kim's idea of reframing breakups as expirations rather than using the term breakup.
Expiration. I like that. It feels less harsh. Less like a failure.
It is less harsh. It's more about acknowledging that something has run its course. It's like a can of soda. When it goes flat, you wouldn't force yourself to keep drinking it, right?
Right? You just accept that it's flat and move on to something else.
Exactly. So instead of dwelling on the blame and shame that often comes with the word breakup, we can view it as a natural process of things running their course.
Okay, I'm digging this shift in perspective. So instead of breakup, we're talking expiration. Like a relationship has an expiration date, just like that can of soda.
Right. And just like we experience stages of grief after a loss, Kim applies that framework to relationship expirations.
So we're talking denial, anger, bargaining, the whole emotional spectrum.
Absolutely. He dives into each stage, offering insights into what we go through after a split. And he even introduces this concept of reparenting ourselves after a breakup.
Reparenting ourselves. Okay, now I'm really intrigued.
He believes that a lot of us didn't receive the emotional nurturing we needed during childhood, which leads us to seek it from romantic partners.
So we end up trying to get our unmet needs met by our partners.
Exactly. And when we break up and that source of validation is gone, it's an opportunity to cultivate that self-love and meet those needs internally.
Okay. So how do we actually reparent ourselves? What does that look like?
Well, Kim outlines a few key steps. It's about cultivating self-compassion, identifying those unmet needs, challenging negative self-talk, establishing healthy boundaries, and learning to regulate our emotions.
So it's like a whole journey of self-discovery and empowerment.
Exactly. It's about becoming the parent to ourselves that we maybe didn't have.
That's a really powerful concept. And it makes a lot of sense, I think. When we can learn to meet our own needs, we're less likely to rely on others to do it for us.
Absolutely. It's about becoming whole and complete within ourselves.
And that makes us better partners in the long run. Right?
For sure. It all starts with us.
This is fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
I think we need to take a little break here, and then we'll come back and delve even deeper into this idea of reparenting and how to rebuild our lives after a breakup.
Sounds good. I'm ready to dive back in after the break.
Okay, so we're back, and we're talking about rebuilding our lives after a breakup. And you mentioned this idea of the life pie. What exactly are these pie pieces we need to nourish?
Yeah, so the life pie, it's a great way to visualize all the different areas of our lives that we need to focus on, after a breakup, especially a big one like divorce. It's like hitting the reset button.
Okay, so it's not just about finding a new partner. It's about taking a look at our whole life and seeing what needs attention.
Exactly. It's about creating a life that feels good on all levels. And so Kim breaks it down into these different slices of the pie. We got love, friends, and family fun, and recreation, career purpose, self-care, growth, and home environment.
Ooh, that's a lot of slices.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's break it down one by one. Where do we start?
Let's start with the love slice. And this doesn't necessarily mean romantic love, right? It's about cultivating self-love first and foremost. Remember we were talking about reparenting ourselves? Well, that's a big part of this slice.
Right. It's about learning to meet our own needs and feeling good about ourselves without needing someone else to do it for us.
Exactly. And once we have that solid foundation of self-love, then we can approach romantic relationships from a healthier place.
Yeah. It's like we're not coming from a place of neediness. We're coming from a place of wholeness.
Exactly. We attract what we are.
Okay. Love slice checked. What about friends and family? Breakups can be tough on those relationships too.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Breakups can definitely shake things up in our social circles, especially if we share a lot of mutual friends with our ex.
It can be awkward. You don't know who to hang out with anymore.
Exactly. So it's a good time to take stock of those relationships and see who's really there for us.
Yeah.
Who's supportive and understanding.
It's about surrounding ourselves with people who lift us up and make us feel good.
And it's also a chance to make new connections. Maybe try new activities and meet people who share our interests.
Okay, so nurture the good friendships, make new ones. Got it. What's next?
Next up, fun and recreation. This is the one that often gets neglected after a breakup. When we're feeling down and sorry for ourselves.
Yeah, it's easy to just wallow and stay home watching Netflix.
But John Kim, he stresses the importance of getting out there and doing things that make us feel alive. Remember smart feet?
Oh yeah, getting out of our heads and into our body.
Exactly. It's about finding things that bring us joy and help us reconnect with our playful side, whether it's dancing, hiking, learning a new skill, or just spending time in nature.
So basically anything that makes us happy and gets us moving.
Exactly. Now, onto career purpose. Breakups can often trigger a lot of soul searching. We start questioning our path and what we're really passionate about.
Yeah, it's like a time for reevaluation. Like, what am I doing with my life?
Exactly. And Kim encourages us to see this as an opportunity for reinvention. Maybe it's time to switch careers or go back to school or finally pursue that dream we've been putting off.
So it's not necessarily a bad thing to feel lost after a breakup. It can actually be a chance to find a new direction.
Right. It's all about perspective.
Okay, career purpose, checked. What about self-care growth? That seems like a big one after a breakup.
Huge. This is all about prioritizing our well-being, taking care of ourselves physically, emotionally, and mentally.
So things like eating healthy, getting enough sleep, exercising, and maybe even therapy.
All of that. It's about treating ourselves with kindness and compassion and making sure our needs are met.
Okay. Self-care is key. And last but not least, we've got home environment.
Yeah, our living space can have a big impact on how we feel. So Kim encourages us to create a home that feels like a sanctuary.
So decluttering, maybe redecorating, making our home a reflection of who we are now.
Exactly. It's about creating a space that supports our healing and our growth.
Okay, so we've covered all the slices of the life pie. Love, friends and family fun and recreation, career purpose, self-care growth, and home environment. It's a lot to think about.
It is, but it's all about taking a holistic approach to our lives and making sure all those areas are getting the attention they deserve.
And I imagine that takes time. There's no quick fix.
Definitely not. It's a journey.
Well, speaking of journeys, John Kim also talks about the importance of forgiveness. And I think that can be a really tough one, especially if we've been hurt or betrayed.
Oh, absolutely. Forgiveness is hard.
Yeah.
But it's so essential for healing.
But how do you forgive someone who's hurt you so badly? It feels almost impossible sometimes.
It's not about condoning their actions or saying what they did was okay. It's about releasing that negative energy that's weighing us down. You know, that anger, resentment, bitterness, like carrying around a heavy weight.
So forgiveness is more for us than for them.
Exactly. It's about freeing ourselves from the pain of the past so we can move on and create a brighter future.
That makes sense. Holding on to anger and resentment just keeps us stuck.
Exactly. It poisons us from the inside out.
Okay, so forgiveness is key. But what about those relationships that were never really official? You know, the ones that kind of fizzle out before they even begin.
Yes, the almost relationship breakups. Those can be tricky because there's no clear closure.
Right. It's like you're grieving something that never really was.
Exactly. And Kim talks about how the intensity of our emotions often doesn't match the length of the relationship, you know? We can get really attached to the potential of what could have been.
Yeah. It's like we build up all these hopes and dreams in our heads, and then when it doesn't work out, it's like a mini heartbreak.
It is a mini heartbreak. And it's important to acknowledge those feelings and allow ourselves to grieve the loss of what we thought could have been.
And then there are those breakups that just never seem to end. You know, the on-again, off-again couples who keep going back to each other.
Oh, yeah, the breakup that never ends. It's like a never-ending cycle of drama and heartache.
Exhausting. Why do people do that to themselves?
Well, Kim says it often comes from a fear of being alone or a reluctance to let go of the familiar, even if it's not healthy.
So it's like they're clinging to what they know, even if it's causing them pain.
Exactly. And sometimes it can be a trauma bond, you know, where the intensity of the relationship becomes addictive.
Oh, yeah. Like they're addicted to the drama.
Right. So it's important to recognize those patterns and understand why we keep going back to something that isn't good for us.
And to break free from that cycle.
Absolutely.
But John King's book has given us a lot to think about. I feel like we've barely scratched the surface.
Oh, yeah. There's so much more to explore.
Well, I think we'll have to leave it there for today. But I encourage everyone to check out Breakup on Purpose if you're going through a breakup, or even if you're not. It's a really insightful book about relationships and self-discovery.
Absolutely. It's a great read for anyone who wants to understand themselves better.
And remember, breakups are not the end of the world. They're just an opportunity for growth and a chance to create an even better life for ourselves.
And who knows, maybe someday we'll even be grateful for those breakups.
Maybe. Until next time, keep exploring and keep diving deep.
And keep breaking up on purpose.
Okay, so we're back. And you know, one thing that always comes to mind when we're talking about breakups is music.
Oh, yeah, music. Yeah. It's like the soundtrack to our heartbreak.
Totally. And John Kim actually talks about the power of music in his book.
Yeah, he does. He actually shares some of his favorite breakup songs, like Cake's version of I Will Survive.
Oh, I love that song.
Right. And Third Eye Blind's How's It Gonna Be?
Oh, man, that one hits hard.
Yeah, and the Airborne Toxic Events Wishing Well.
Okay. I haven't heard that one. I'll have to check it out.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
And Kim talks about how, you know, each song brings back all these different memories and emotions.
Yeah, music has this incredible power to transport us back to a specific time and place.
Exactly. It's like a time machine for our feelings. And for Kim, those songs remind him of past relationships, lessons learned, and you know that even after heartbreak, you can still come out stronger on the other side.
Yeah, it's like a reminder that we're not alone in this. Other people have gone through it too and survived.
Exactly. And Kim doesn't sugarcoat things either. You know, he acknowledges that breakups are tough. They're an emotional roller coaster.
Oh, yeah, for sure. There's the pain, the confusion, the self-doubt, the anger, the missing them like crazy.
All of it. And he encourages us to embrace all those feelings, to let ourselves grieve without judgment.
Yeah, because it's all part of the process, right? You can't just skip over the hard parts.
Exactly. And it takes time. You know, there's no set timeline for healing.
Right. Everyone's different. And Kim also talks about the importance of, you know, taking care of ourselves during this time.
Oh, yeah. Self-care is essential. He reminds us to be kind to ourselves, to do things that make us feel good.
So things like getting enough sleep, eating healthy foods, avoiding things that stress us out.
All of that. And he emphasizes the importance of, calming our nervous system, especially after a really tough breakup.
Okay, because our nervous system is definitely on high alert after a breakup.
For sure. So things like deep breathing meditation, spending time in nature, gentle exercise, all of that can help.
Yeah, it's about finding those things that bring us a sense of peace and calm.
Exactly. And remember, smart feet, getting out of our heads and into our bodies.
Right, so maybe going for a run or a hike or dancing it out.
Anything that gets us moving and feeling good.
So basically taking care of ourselves on all levels.
Yeah.
Physical, emotional, mental, spiritual.
Exactly. And Kim reminds us that healing isn't linear, There will be good days and bad days.
Oh yeah, for sure. Some days you wake up feeling like you're on top of the world, and other days you just want to stay in bed.
It's all part of the process. And it's important to be patient with ourselves.
Yeah, and to have a good support system. People we can talk to who understand what we're going through.
Absolutely. Friends, family therapists, support groups, whoever we need to lean on.
And what about, those times when you're tempted to reach out to your ex? How do you deal with that?
Oh, yeah, that's a tough one. Kim talks about that too. He says those urges are usually driven by loneliness or a desire to fill the void that the breakup created.
Yeah, it's like your brain is trying to trick you into thinking that going back to the familiar will make you feel better.
Exactly. But he cautions against acting on those impulses, especially in the early stages of healing.
Right, because it can set you back.
It can. So he encourages us to pause, sit with those feelings, and ask ourselves, is this really what I need right now? Or am I just trying to avoid feeling uncomfortable?
That's good advice.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we do things just to distract ourselves from the pain.
And if you're really struggling, he recommends seeking professional help.
Yeah, a therapist can be a great resource during a breakup.
Definitely. Okay, so as we wrap up our deep dive into breakup on purpose, what's the biggest takeaway for you?
I think the biggest thing for me is this idea that breakups are not the end of the world. They're actually an opportunity for growth and a chance to create an even better life.
Absolutely. It's like a reset button, a chance to start fresh.
And it all starts with self-love, learning to meet our own needs and feeling good about ourselves.
Exactly. Once we have that foundation, we can build anything.
And we don't have to do it alone. There are people who care about us and want to support us.
So true, community is everything. And if you're going through a breakup right now, just remember, you're not alone.
There's light at the end of the tunnel, and you'll get through this.
And you might even come out stronger and happier on the other side.
Absolutely.
If you enjoyed this video, smash that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Until next time, keep learning.